So, this next person coming up to the mic, he just got an award. He's a phenomenal poet. This man's like a cousin to me. When I tell you I'm so proud of him and all the accomplishments he's getting and blessings, like, bro, you don't even understand. But I'm gonna let his work talk for himself. Y'all seen him up here. Hopefully y'all seen him on TikTok. I want y'all to give it up for my man styling and profiling, my guy Tsleeveless. He got the sleeves on though. He got the sleeves on.
Appreciate you, my boy.
NAACP.
You know what it is. Hey, if it's below 80 degrees, I got on the sleeves. You know that. Golly. So, I'm extremely conflicted on what I'm about to perform tonight, but I obviously don't have the time to figure it out. So, I've been told, right, that I should try to write more positive, uplifting poetry. And I'm getting really sick of having this conversation. People always act like the first time I say it is the first time that they're hearing it. Do not trust everything the poet says. Do not fall in love with the poet. Do not seek importance in the poet's life. These are all bad ideas. If you do these things despite these warnings, then do not be surprised if you become a poem. And surprise, surprise, nobody dies in my poetry. A past lover of mine ventures to ask if I would ever write her a poem, and I gave her the benefit of the doubt and considered that even though she listens closely to everything I say, it's possible she may not have ever heard a single thing I tell her. Nobody dies in my poetry. Again, she listens, but does not hear me. She goes on to speak about how she wishes she could be a poet too, how nobody would die in her poetry either. It's something about the way people smile in your face that makes it hard to tell when they're lying through their teeth. To write, verb, to mark letter on a surface, typically with paper, pen, or pencil. Poem, noun, a piece of writing containing both the nature of speech and song that is almost always metaphorical. To write a poem. Translation, to split yourself in a fragment small enough for a crowd to digest but sharp enough to still hurt going down, limp off the stage, and leave the blood for the next artist to clean up. You want to be a poet. Sometimes poetry feels like a terminal illness, a fatal mental condition. And baby, you're just going to have to bleed until you're better. Or at least until you die. Most times I don't know if I'm fighting my demons or becoming someone else's. Talking all this shit about love just to turn around and fuck a good thing up. To be a poet is to have a voice that sounds like a missed phone call. Like a sigh before the line goes dead. It's to stack discarded pages 9 feet tall just to watch your literature literally litter the ground when your words fall short. Poetry is kind of like pouring your last bit of alcohol down the drain and still flinching from the burn of it going down the wrong pipe. To be a poet is to talk about all the battles you fought and lost and how you still ended up as a dead thing with survivor's guilt, but you want to be a poet. The problem with being a poet is that we can Listerine steam clean a crime scene into the most beautifully poetic thing you've ever heard or seen. We can take into the most beautifully poetic thing you've ever heard or seen. We can take any and all tragedies and transform them into tiny, presentable catastrophes. And the insanity of it all is that everybody applauds. Yes, y'all. We can paint the prettiest picture you done ever seen, but we the ones that gotta hang it on the wall. Yes, y'all. We done all wrote stories with nothing but blood left in the pen, and you damn right we gonna do it again. Yes, y'all, I'll do it again. Damn motherfucking right, I will do it again because I'm running out of ways to address this topic calmly. People often tell me that my poetry is awfully haunting, but what they don't know is writing something this painful is actually awfully daunting, but you want to be a poet, right? You're going to get really sick and tired of talking, but you're going to be even more sick and tired of being quiet. It might take me 47 days to write a poem that I only get 3 minutes to say. I just wrote this the other day really means I started this a few years ago, but since then, I've poured myself into people with cracks in their cups, had a few lunches at a cemetery, went flat broke, skydived into a volcano, fought depression, lost my vision, blindfolded and handcuffed, bent over backwards painfully for people who would take my name from me, but you want to be a poet. Poetry is a lot like a fire escape. which is to say it may be the only way out when everything is burning. I've realized that the word Yo, you hilarious. Poetry is a lot like a fire escape, which is to say it may be the only way out when everything is burning. I've realized that the word happiness can be a really funny way of saying distracted. I've learned that poetry... Hey, yo, I'm crying. Poetry is a lot like a fire escape, which is to say it may be the only way out when everything is burning. I've learned that the word happiness can be a really funny way of saying distracted. I've learned that poetry can be a really strange way of asking for help. Sometimes being a poet is to be as quiet as a closed casket and still the life of the party. 9 times out of 10, I have a tighter grip on my pen than I do on reality. So when I say, I have written this the other day, that is to say, I have successfully split myself wide open again for your amusement, for everybody's praise. Just so you know, I was here once and it may have been beautiful. So when I tell you nobody dies in my poetry, I mean to say that past lovers who used to feel like home live rent-free in my memories. I'm still alive, but so is the heartache, because nobody dies in my poetry. When I hear the poet talk about her assault, it means that she is still alive, but so is her abuser, because nobody dies in poetry. When I hear the addict talk about his recovery from addiction, it means that he is still alive, but so is the addict, because nobody dies in poetry. When I hear mothers talk about how they became more than themselves, that means that her and her children are still alive, but so is the absent father, because nobody dies in poetry, which is to say, to be a poet is to salt shake eternity onto everything, but not before you are grinded to dust. So when the past lover of mine asked if I would ever write her a poem, I asked her a question instead. And I swear she was hearing everything I was saying, but I'm not quite sure she was listening. Baby, do you want me to write you a poem, or do you want to be a poet?